Welcome, everybody. I'm so excited to be here. It's our December live stream, and welcome, everybody. I'm going to give everybody a chance to kind of hop on in here. Today, we have a little bit of a plan. What I'm going to do is I'm going to discuss something that I did a video on not too long ago. It was a pretty long interview, but what I think I'm going to do this time is I'm going to try to make it a little bit simple for you guys. It's about the Dolar App that everybody's calling it. And I'm going to go ahead and explain to you why this is a very risky app. And I think it's very, very important that I let you know that the risks involved in this. I know that a lot of people have already said, well, it's cryptocurrency. I'm not going to mess with it. But basically, I'm going to go ahead and tell you exactly why you're not going to mess with it, why you shouldn't mess with it. And there's a lot of things going on in the crypto world right now that are even more of a reason why not to mess with it. Then afterwards, what we can do is we can go into questions. Hey, Denise, how's it going? Jim Solomon, how are you doing? Why don't we start out by, if you guys just want to just chime in and say where you're coming from. I'm going to give it about a minute more. We have around 10 people right now before I start. And good evening, T. Walker. How are you doing? I'm going to give it a little bit of time before we start so that I can start to kind of explain why I'm concerned about this app. It's been promoted within Expat Facebook groups, and there's a YouTube videos about it. And I'm going to explain why it's not a good idea. So I'm very passionate a lot of times when I see things. And another thing that I'm planning to do now that I'm seeing a lot of this kind of stuff is that I'm going to go ahead and start a different playlist called How to Spot a Scam here in Mexico. I'm not calling the Dolar App a scam, but what I am saying is it could very well be. And I'm going to give the reasons why here in this episode or this live stream. How's it going, Lisa? And and Denise, you're coming from Merida. I always see you here. Denise and Evero, nice to see you here. How are you doing? Okay. Let's just give it one more minute, and we'll go into my explanation of the Dolar App and exactly what it is and why not to use it. And I'm very passionate about it because I just don't want to see the expat community taken by something like this. And Yogani from Phoenix. I actually used to live in Phoenix, Arizona for a little while. I lived there for 5 years. Love the place. So let me start with the Dolar App. It's become very pushed in the expat community because, and I'm not going to call anybody out. This is not against anybody in particular or anything else like that, but there was a video that came out about an app that was very convenient and safe to transfer money from from the United States to Mexico and vice versa. You can actually transfer money back. But there's a catch. There's a very big catch to this. Basically, the way the Dolar App works, and I did a little bit of research on the companies, and that's why I'm going to go into this. And so I did the research for you so you don't have to do the research yourself. But basically, the way it works is you sign up for this app. You basically say, hey, and it sounds like a really great deal because not only do you sign up for this app, but they offer this credit card that you can use here in Mexico. It's a Mexican secured credit card, not a debit card, secured. But I'm going to explain what the catch behind secured is. It's a Mexican secured credit card that you can use, and it's kind of touted as a way as if you can't get a Mexican bank account or a Mexican credit card, this is the way to go. And you can transfer your money. The rates are really great. And not only that, but you get 4% cash back on your credit card, and you get 3% interest on your money. But here's the catch. It's not your money. And I'm going to explain why. and this is very serious. And because of what's been going on in the crypto community right now, it's even more concerning. Basically, what you do when you sign up for this app, you send money to the company. You purchase a digital asset. And this is the way it's explained to everybody. You purchase a digital asset called USDC. The digital asset is basically cryptocurrency. Okay, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to call it a digital asset. It's cryptocurrency. This cryptocurrency is what we call a stable coin. Okay, and stable coins, when they first came out, there's this concept because cryptocurrency is very volatile. For example, the price of Bitcoin, it's gone all the way up to $60,000. Now it's probably at about $17,000, $18,000. It fluctuates. And at one time, when I got into Bitcoin, it was $8,000. So it's very volatile. The price is very volatile. So the concept of a stable coin is that your money is equal to whatever you put into it. So you buy this coin, for example, the USDC, and you put in $1. Well, that coin maintains a value of $1, $1 for $1. Okay. Now, here's what has been sold to the crypto community about these stable coins is that, for example, Bitcoin is only worth whatever people are willing to pay for it. So it's just like a stock. You go to an exchange, and the more people that buy this stock, the more people that the price goes up. The more people that want to sell, the price goes down. And it's the same thing in the cryptocurrency. It's no different. But the way the stable coin works is that these companies have said, okay, when you buy this coin or this stable coin from us, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take your dollar that you give us. We're going to give you a cryptocurrency or digital asset, basically an IOU. That's what I call it. I owe you $1. And then we're going to take that dollar and we're going to put it into a bank account, or we're going to put it into assets that can't be touched by us, the company, and it's going to be placed away, and that dollar is going to stay $1. So therefore your coin's going to stay $1. But there's some catches to this. And not too long ago, I would say a couple of months ago, several stable coins have actually gone to zero, literally worthless. And the reason why is because you're depending on the company to put that money away. For example, when you buy one USDC, you're saying, Circle, you're going to put this money away. And Circle says, yes, we're going to put this money away in U.S. Treasuries. I think they say they have it in U.S. Treasuries. They say they have it in cash equivalent. And here's a catch. Cash equivalent does not mean cash. It could mean cryptocurrency. It could mean loans that they have out to other companies. They could say this loan is worth $100,000, so therefore we have $100,000 in assets. So let me go into how USDC was formed. The first thing that I want to tell everybody is that USDC has no relation to the United States government. Just because it's called USDC does not mean, and it stands for United States dollar coin. So a lot of people might mistake it for being a cryptocurrency that's issued by the United States government, but it isn't. It's a cryptocurrency that is issued by a company called Circle, and Circle co-opted with a company called Coinbase. You guys might have heard of Coinbase before, because Coinbase is one of the major exchanges where you can actually go on, you can get on their app and you can buy Bitcoin, you can buy all types of cryptocurrencies, you can actually sell them, and this coin is only generated by Circle, okay? So basically, when you get onto this Dolar app, you go in there and you say, I want to take $100, $1,000, $500, and I want to transfer my bank account, and I want to buy $500 worth of USDC. Now, in concept, this is great. You get 500 USDC, and then you can take that 500 DC and you can transfer it to your Mexican bank account but here's the catch. You're not transferring it. You sell the USDC. Okay, so you buy the USDC, you get this one IOU or digital asset. And then once you get that digital asset, then you sell that digital asset for another $1. And then you transfer it into your Mexican bank account. And you can do the same thing. You can get an ACH withdrawal from your Mexican bank account, or you can do a wire transfer. I believe they accept wire transfers. You can wire transfer the money to this company, the Dolar App company, and then you purchase one USDC or the equivalent on the exchange rates. And then when you basically sell it on the other side in the United States. Now, there's some consequences to this, and there's several consequences to this. And one of the things that I'm going to discuss today is a little bit of the actual, what I found out about the company, a little bit about what I found out about Circle, and a little bit of history of Coinbase and what's going on in the crypto community right now, and the reason why you want to stay away from any kind of stable coin right now. Or, you know, if you want to get into cryptocurrency, then understand it it's volatile, and this is not a way to basically have your money. Now, here's the other catch. What they say is that, okay, if you go and you buy this, for example, USDC, I went go and buy $500 worth of USDC and I maintain it in my account on the Dolar App. I'm going to get 3% interest on that money. Okay, sometimes the interest rate varies, and then basically, I also can get a credit card that's secured with that $500 worth of USDC. Now, here's how a secured credit card works. If anybody doesn't know what a secured credit card is, basically, they have them in the United States. What you do is you have to put a deposit down, and you put $500 to this company, and it secures your credit card, and you have a $500 credit limit. Well, that's how this works. You have to maintain that $500 worth of USDC in order to maintain the credit limit on the credit card. And this is important later on when I talk about what happens if the company goes bankrupt. And you know, the bottom line is if the company goes bankrupt, you lose your money. There's no insurance on this money. There's no insurance. And basically what you're doing is you're taking the word of a company saying we put this money away and we have secure digital assets to liquidate if everybody at the same time wants to take their money out of their USDC, or if everybody wants to sell it. Now, the first important thing to note about these types of things is there's been several companies that have done this. There's one company called BlockFi, which has suffered from this last cryptocurrency scandal that has been brewing and going on. And they did the same thing. They would offer a secured credit card. You earn money on your interest. Crypto.com does this. They offer you a credit card, same thing. But BlockFi right now basically is related to a company called FTX, which robbed everybody's money, walked away with everybody's customers' funds. And they were bought out by FTX and bailed out because they were in financial trouble. And now everybody, your money's gone. And a lot of people put all their money into it because they were giving great interest rates. So there's been Crypto.com also. There's another issue with Crypto.com. Crypto.com has managed to stay alive through the FTX crash, but Crypto.com is on the verge of going bankrupt. So there's a lot of speculation. A lot of people are saying, don't leave your money there. Take it out. So the Dolar App is not a new concept. Now, another thing to note about these applications, somewhat like BlockFi and FTX and these and Crypto.com, they pay a lot of money to YouTubers, influencers, okay, to come out and say, this is the best product. I personally use it. This is awesome. In the FTX, there were several people YouTubers getting paid upwards of $20,000 to $30,000 every time they said this is the best crypto exchange in the world. So there's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes. Now, a little bit of history about Circle. Circle is a company, like I said, that co-opted with Coinbase. And Circle basically creates these coins. Circle is the only people that can create the coins, all right? And they're in partnership with Coinbase. Now, here's the interesting thing about Coinbase. Coinbase is kind of the money behind Circle, okay? Not the money, but the exchange behind Circle. They're the ones that enable this to happen. When you purchase there's a lot of things that go on in the background with this Dolar App. They go through another company called Synapse, which I will mention a little bit later. And the way it works is that Circle is the only one that can create these coins, and Coinbase is the one that's kind of like the money behind all of this. And if you look at Coinbase's terms of service, Coinbase basically says, and it's literally in their terms of service, in the event of bankruptcy, if our company goes bankrupt, any funds held by Coinbase, if you hold funds in a Coinbase wallet or Coinbase, your funds are considered as an unsecured creditor. What unsecured creditor means is if they ever claim bankruptcy, you're the last in line to get your money back, if there's any money left. And so that's kind of the way it works with Circle. If Circle goes bankrupt, even though they have this money in treasuries or cash, let's say they're honest. I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt. Circle is honest. You give them $500 and they buy $500 worth of U.S. treasuries. Yes, they have the assets. The assets are there. The assets are there to liquidate. Now, what happens, though, if the company goes bankrupt? If the company goes bankrupt, well, number one, how do you sell your USDC if the only company that can issue these coins is bankrupt? They can no longer operate. So if they can no longer operate, how do you get your money back? Not only that, but if they go bankrupt, all of a sudden you're an unsecured creditor. What that means is, sorry, but you lost your money, even though the money's sitting in the bank. And the ones that are going to get paid are going to be the ones that are secured creditors, are people that they have loans out to, people that they've invested in, or people that have invested in them. And an interesting thing about Circle is that Circle was on the verge of bankruptcy not too long ago. And there was a company called BlackRock Investments that just gave them $400 million to stay afloat. So Circle that issues the USDC is not in the best condition right now. Basically, they needed $400 million to keep operating. And then not only that, but interesting to note is that Coinbase lost they were running at a loss of $1.1 billion in the second quarter. And they're running at a loss in the last quarter of upwards of $400 million. So how does a company sustain not going bankrupt if they're losing billions of dollars every quarter? And Coinbase is a big company. I don't see them going under anytime soon, but they are in danger of actually going bankrupt. These are the things that are not being told to you when you see these videos, that it's great. It's an awesome way to transfer money. So basically, that is the background of the actual coin that you're purchasing. Now, I want to go into the background of the Dolar App. The Dolar App was founded by 4 guys. You can't find this anywhere on the website. That's what's very interesting. I had my cryptocurrency expert, which I interviewed. He said, when I went to look at the website, there's nothing about the founders. There's no information about the founders. Now, I digged a little bit deeper. The founders of the Dolar App are not from Mexico. The company, yeah, of course, they're incorporated here in Mexico because they operate here in Mexico and a couple of other countries. But there are 4 kids out of San Francisco that decided to start this, that used to come down to Mexico and Latin America and travel in Latin America. And they decided, it's really hard for us to use our US ATM cards and everything else. So we're going to come up with an easy way to transfer our money to Mexico and use this credit card or have this credit card and everything else. So they came up with this idea. Now, they have a partnership. Now, here's the other interesting thing to note about the Dolar App. You are basically buying a digital asset. In the United States, according to the IRS, when you buy a digital asset or a cryptocurrency and then you sell cryptocurrency, you have to report it to the IRS, even though it's a one-to-one. You're not making any profit, but you still have to report your loss or your gain to the IRS. So technically, every time you say, okay, I'm going to buy 1 USDC, and then you sell that USDC to put in your Mexican bank account, you just created what's called a taxable event. And here's the thing. If someday the IRS wants to come back to you and say you didn't report your cryptocurrency sales, they can, and you can get fined for that. So there's some things that need to be addressed. And then these are things that haven't been addressed because cryptocurrency is so new. So what we want to do is we want to be very careful about these types of companies. Now, Dolar App, like I said, they're operating as a bank also because they hold your money in these digital. They hold you put $500. Let's say you take $1,000 and you want that credit card, and you put $1,000 and it's secured. So the Dolar App holds your money. Okay, so even though technically, and I'm speaking from my federal law enforcement background, okay, and I worked in money laundering. I actually was a representative from my agency when I was in DC to FinCEN. They're acting as a bank, okay? It doesn't matter if it's a registered bank or not, they are acting as a bank. So therefore, if you run over $10,000 through this Dolar App throughout the year, let's say you transfer $1,000 every month and you basically move $12,000, you are technically supposed to fill out what we call an FBAR, which is a foreign bank account report. All right. This is done on your taxes, but it's an actual report that's done to FinCEN. And this is for reporting. It's basically to keep people from being bad actors, from using these apps and stuff like that, from being bad actors or keeping your money overseas. So basically what happens is that if you technically have to fill out that FBAR, what happens if you don't fill out that FBAR? And the IRS comes back later and says, well, here you went and you transferred $10,000 to what was acting like a bank. It doesn't have to be a registered bank. You didn't fill out a foreign bank account request because you basically have a foreign company, because they're registered in Mexico, holding your money as a bank. It's $10,000 fine for every unwillful reporting on an FBAR. So you have to be very careful. Now, here's the thing. This hasn't really happened too many times. So people, it's not yet well defined. What I'm talking about here is not necessarily that you're going to get in trouble with the IRS or anything's going to happen with you, because this is such new territory. It's almost like the Wild West. But the problem is now with the FTX crash, which is FTX is an exchange, which is somewhat like Coinbase, that stole everybody's money. So now the SEC is investigating, the FBI is investigating, and we're probably going to see a lot more regulation by the Federal Trade Commission, by the SEC on digital assets. So these are things to take into consideration. I'm not saying that it's going to happen now or the IRS is going after people because people aren't filling out FBARs because of their cryptocurrency that they're holding overseas, but this is something that may be coming down the road and you need to be careful about it. So those are the things that, you need to understand. Now, how does Dolar App work? Because they're just a company that takes your money. Well, they utilize a company out of San Francisco called Synapse. Synapse is kind of like I would say the bank. Okay, they're the ones that hold the money. They're the ones that send the money. They're the ones that help Dolar App purchase the cryptocurrency or keep the books per se. There was a very scathing article about Synapse in Forbes magazine. I'm gonna leave a link to that, and basically about that company, and you can see the background on it. So that's basically the Dolar App in a nutshell. And don't let anybody tell you that it's secure. And you know what? Yes, I know if I probably try it right now, download it on my phone, take $500, it'll probably work. Okay. I'm not disputing that. The problem is, will it work tomorrow? And here's the problem that happened with the FTX crash. People lost their money overnight. They went to sleep, some people with millions of dollars in the bank, supposedly, not in the bank, and they woke up with nothing. And one thing that really, really gets me about the expat community is that sometimes people are going to put their whole Social Security check just so they can get it to Mexico, thinking that this is safe. And what happens if you wake up the next morning and you have nothing? So this is something that you really need to understand. And one thing that, I'm not going to name names, but one of the YouTube videos that did come out, there was an attempt made to not make it look like it was a paid promotion. And I think later on, someone finally said, hey, wait a second, you got paid to do this. And they finally marked it. And if you go look at the video now, it says paid promotion, but nowhere in the video does it mention, hey, I'm being sponsored by these guys. These guys reached out to me and gave me the solution. No, it's a video saying, hey, I found this great app and it works. And, I'm not putting anybody down, but I want you to realize that a lot of these people that are pushing this, are advertising this, aren't making money. Even in Facebook, if you see, hey, I found this great app, people get paid good money to do that. That's the way they promote their product. And there's nothing on the person that's promoting the product. I will tell you about the FTX crash. Many of the most notable, reputable people in the financial YouTube community, I mean, we're talking about reputable people who believed in FTX and promoted FTX. And even though they got paid money, they have a business. That's how they make their money. They make their money on YouTube doing this business. And these people actually promoted this product, actually believing that it was a good product. Okay, so it's not the YouTuber that's at fault here. Maybe it is that they didn't do enough research, especially on the FTX thing. But nobody with FTX even imagine. As a matter of fact, the guy with FTX that's in charge of FTX was considered to be the new Goldman Sachs. He was actually in the financial community considered a genius. And now he's considered the next Bernie Madoff. So it's not necessarily the YouTuber's fault for promoting this and accepting the money. They have a business. They get sponsored. Okay. But these are the things that I'm trying to warn you about, because sometimes when they promote, they tell you, they will instruct the actual, when these financial YouTubers were pushing FTX, they basically pushed the FTX by saying, I have my money in FTX. I personally invest in FTX. They weren't saying that they were being paid by FTX. And later on, it came out that they were getting paid, some of them upwards of $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000. One financial YouTuber was getting paid upwards of $100,000, if I'm not mistaken. So this is something that you really, really need to be careful. And this is the reason why I came live, and I'm telling you all about this. And I know a lot of people, even when you say cryptocurrency, they didn't touch the app. But, we're looking at the initial video that I saw with 25,000 views. And you know what? Out of those 25,000 people that watch this video, I hope they don't use this app and lose their money. And I'm not saying this because like I said, it's not the YouTuber's fault. It's these companies that can scam you. And this has basically given me the inspiration to start a new playlist. And I'm going to start this new playlist on how to spot certain things, because what I'm noticing now in the expat community is we're coming out with a lot of expat services. A lot of entrepreneurs are coming out with great ideas to help expats move to Mexico. But at the same time, we're having some issues. Some are not all the way up on the up and up, and some are. Some, in this case, of the Dolar App, we look at people that just didn't do their research or didn't understand how cryptocurrency works, and innocently took money from a company to promote it. So I'm going to start a series so that you guys can be aware of how to spot, if you're looking for a facilitator, what to look for in a facilitator. One of the reasons why I partner with Mexico Relocation Guide is because all of their facilitators are actually vetted. Mariana actually interviews everybody. She talks to them. And if she gets any negative feedback, like these people robbed my money, she will take them off the list of recommended facilitators. And unfortunately, there's a couple of other guides out there. They don't necessarily do that. And there's a lot of things that are out there. And I'm going to start a series on what to look for when you're looking for different services. Or when I spot something like the Dolar App that could be a danger, I'm going to start doing videos on these things. Or I see something in Facebook that I see is not all the way right or doesn't look right, then I'm going to do a video on it. And I've already, like I said, I've done one on the Dolar App, and I also did one on a facilitator that spread some information that at that time probably wasn't the best thing to do. And, you know, not to say anything bad about the facilitator, I got a lot of kickback because of it, but let's keep people honest. Let's keep people honest here. That's what I'm here for. You know, I totally support all of that stuff. And speaking of facilitators, Gringos R Us are here, and I helped them come across the McAllen border here. And actually, they have a question. I think I'll take questions about the Dolar App, but I guess I'm finished talking about the Dolar App and cryptocurrency. So, Gringos R Us, you got to Querétaro. I'm glad you got to Querétaro. Glad to see you there, to see your videos, and you guys are enjoying yourself. And you're asking a question here. Can I touch on the 2023 financial requirements, as we had some of our subscribers ask about it? You are the best. Yes, I can go into that, actually. Let me explain. And actually, I'm doing a video with Mariana. Talk about Mexico Relocation Guide. We actually did a video. We taped a video yesterday, not day before yesterday, which I am getting ready to release, but I'm on my Relocating to Mexico series. And that video is going to go over our predictions for 2023 in immigration. We cover the solvency requirements, financial solvency requirements. We're also going to cover what the new FMM system, and a couple of other things. Now, the financial requirements, let's get into that. It's going to go up. It's going to go up by 20%. And this is why. This is how the financial requirements at this time are calculated. The way I explain it is there's a formula, okay? And this formula is basically used as a guide for all the Mexican consulates in all over the world. Okay, this formula is applied in Canada, formula is applied in the United States. So when you go to the Mexican consulate, they say, okay, you need certain things. You need your passport, you need this, you need that. And also you're going to need to show financial solvency. They use a formula, and I'm going to use the temporary residency formula because basically the permanent residency formula, there's a little bit more. The temporary residency formula is the best to actually the temporary residency formula is probably the best to use it as an example because it works the same way. The only difference is one requires 6 months and the other one requires 12 months of financial records. So what they say is you're going to need to meet the financial requirements for financial solvency of 300 times the Mexican minimum wage, okay? And then that's what you need to meet a month. If you want to do it by savings, it's 500 times the Mexican minimum wage in your bank account, basically. I believe it's, no, or is it, I don't remember the savings account. I believe it's 500 times. But this is the key. It's the minimum wage. One of the things that has been going up every year is the minimum wage. Right now it's at 170. I don't want to quote exactly because it's 170 something, almost 180 pesos. And next year, AMLO, the Mexican president, has already said that it is going to go up by 20% this year. Again, last year it went up by 22%. And also, so basically these requirements are going to go at this time, depending on the exchange rate. And actually Wise Owl has a very good, I'm going to put his comment up here. He also has a very valid point. The daily minimum wage is going up and the formula is used to factor in the currency exchange rate. So your exchange rate also counts. So for example, if the exchange rate, depending on where you're at, basically it fluctuates. So, but here's the thing about the consulate. For example, right now the exchange rate is 19.6, 19.7. It varies goes down to 19.3 sometimes. I'm using the United States, 19.3 to 19.7, maybe up to 20 sometimes. It hasn't really hit 20 lately. But basically, the consulate will actually determine the exchange rate. And I'm using the U.S. exchange rate because I come from the United States. And so basically, the exchange rate the consulate can say, no, we're going to use an 18 to 1 exchange rate because the exchange rate is always fluctuating. Another consulate may say we're going to use 19 to 1, or another one may say 20 to 1. So what you'll see in most of the consulates is $2,700 for one consulate, $2,500, $2,600 for another consulate. A lot of that variation, as Wise Owl says, is the exchange rate. Okay. So that is determined by the consulate. The other thing that you need to understand also is that the consulate has full discretion whether to give you this visa or not. They can even if you meet those financial requirements, they can technically say no. I've even seen this happen. The DC consulate was actually the embassy, but there's a consulate that you go to in DC, I believe. And they were very famous for doing this, just basically saying no and refusing to give you the visa. Now, the reason why I bring that up is because just because they use a formula, the consulate is allowed to use whatever they want. Okay. So I'm going to give an example. Wise Owl just gives another example here. McAllen is going up over 56%. Okay. In 2023. Now here's the thing with McAllen. Last year, McAllen became the best kept secret, but no longer a secret. But McAllen was actually requiring only $1,700 a month when most consulates were requiring between $2,500 and $2,700 a month for you to show in income. And that's a total departure from this formula of 300 times the minimum wage, because $1,700 is nowhere, $1,725, I think it was nowhere close. So people started and they don't require that you live in the area. People were traveling to McAllen like crazy to try to run and get into that $1,700 category. Now, McAllen has already increased their amount, and actually they already are at 2,500 and something. So they went up. So it looks like basically, as a matter of fact, like Mariana told me from Mexico relocation guys, it looks like they're going to use the 2022 requirements for 2023. But McAllen is a perfect example of we're going to ditch the formula and we're going to come up with our number. Now, I have a suspect of how they came up with the $1,700. The minimum wage is what we call an economic indicator for financial solvency. I've explained this in other videos, and I explained this in a podcast that I was just recently on. And basically, each country, no matter where you go, United States, Mexico, Brazil, wherever you're trying to get residency, this is Immigration 101. Basically, you have to show that you're not going to be a burden on the government, and you have to show financial solvency. For example, in the United States, basically, the financial solvency is you have to show an income or somebody supporting you with an income over a certain amount over the poverty line. I don't remember if it's changed, but it was several percent over the poverty line. So that means you had to show an income of that. Now, what Mexico was doing, and it's been doing this for forever, is that they've said, well, the minimum wage is basically the economic indicator. What people make a day, we can use that to basically come up with formulas to calculate everything from fines to taxes and everything else. The problem with that is that up until about 2016, that was working. And after 2016, we were seeing in the Mexican minimum wage, because they were very behind, very high increases in the minimum wage. And around 2016, Mexico basically came up with a new formula or a new economic indicator instead of the Mexican minimum wage, which is called the UMA formula. And it's basically done by what's the equivalent kind of the Census Bureau here in Mexico. And they figure out this number every year. And it's based on some economic formula. I have no idea how they do it or how it's based, but that amount is a lot less. It was 89 pesos, I think, this year versus 200 and a lot. It was a big difference of over 100 pesos. So basically, that would have put you with the UMA formula. If you took that 300 times UMA figure, that would have put you at about $1,500 or $1,600. So I suspect that McAllen was going by that UMA formula, or they were using that as a guide. But they were still a couple of $100 off with that $1,700 because the UMA formula would have been a little bit lower. So, and Wiesel actually has the figure. McAllen will be $26.98 for your net monthly. Also important to note, it's your net monthly income that they look at. Basically, they look at your bank statements. It's after taxes and after deductions. So they look at your bank statements. Now, one other thing to note about McAllen is that if you are proving your financial solvency through work, you're going to need a letter from your employer if you want to travel down to McAllen and do this. So you will need a letter from your employer, and you will need to show those bank statements for 6 months that equal at least $26.98. Now, will it go up? I don't know. In 2016, the Mexican government was instructed for all fines, for everything that they used the minimum wage to figure the formulas, to insert this UMA number. As a matter of fact, even INM last year was directed that, hey, you don't use the old minimum wage, you have to use the UMA formula. As a matter of fact, when they did this, a lot of blogs picked it up, a lot of Mexican news blogs picked it up as that the residency financial requirements have changed. They haven't changed. They have changed with immigration, because when you show up to immigration, you have to show a certain financial, there's two portions. You have to get past the consulate, but the consulate hasn't changed. And a lot of people said, well, I thought this was a law. This was directed by the government. It was directed by the president. That why aren't the consulates changing this? Number one, it's not the law. It was just a direction given by the Mexican government that you need to start using this. Second, what you need to understand is that SRE, which is the Exterior Relations from Mexico, on a diplomatic, they are given discretion to do a lot of things. And so one of their discretions is to issue this visa or not. I can give you a visa if I want to or not. If I woke up in the morning and I don't feel like giving you this visa, I don't have to. So basically, they've kind of used that. I'm just speculating because I've worked in the diplomatic community. They're using that as telling the government of Mexico, we use what we want. And as a matter of fact, they don't have to use the formula that they're using right now. They can figure something else out. They use that formula for the sake of uniformity. Yes, some consulates change the exchange rate. Some consulates decide, because every consulate's its own little kingdom. And so basically, since they're their own little kingdom and they're their own, they decide, they can change the number any way they want. And right now, as a matter of fact, I believe Tucson and in Arizona, they're already requiring $3,000, $3,000 and something a month. So they've even gone ahead of the actual new minimum wage and went ahead and applied it already. So that's why you're not seeing a change with the consulate. Now, will the consulate one day just say, you know what, this is getting out of hand? And I don't mean that it's getting out of hand, because when we're talking about the daily minimum wage, we're talking at 200. It's going up to 207.44 is what White House was saying. And that sounds about correct. Okay, 207.44 is a minimum wage here in Mexico for a whole day. So, we might say it's getting out of hand. Yes, it's getting out of hand in the sense that now these financial solvency requirements are going up by astronomically, kind of, sort of. I say it's going up exponentially. But what might happen, and what I'm hoping, is the government of Mexico says, well, you know what, the minimum wage is no longer an economic indicator. Let's use the UMA. But that's up to the exterior relations to change that. That's up to the exterior relations to basically use that UMA number. Or it's up to them to say, you know what, we're going to change the formula all the way around. Will that happen? I don't know. I actually thought, along with a lot of the Mexican blogs that came out and said that they had been lowered because the Mexican president had told immigration that they had to go to this new formula, which is really doesn't mean a lot, because immigration, you have to get through the consulates to get to immigration. So even though it's lowered immigration, you still have to meet the requirements at basically with the consulate. So will they go to this UMA number? I don't know, but it is going to go up. We're already seeing the consulates do that. So I guess I spent enough time on that question. So any more questions here? We're coming up on an hour, and we'll see what. And Gringos Are Us basically made a point here. If they continue with 20% annually, the solvency requirement would be over $5,000 monthly in 2026. That is true. And that is one of the things that we're going to have to see here to see if it'll actually, if they'll, change the formula, or if they'll go to the UMA formula, which is a little bit more practical. Okay, Ramon Garcia. Greetings from San Francisco area, retiring in 2 weeks, heading from here, I'm going to put up Ramon here. Greetings from San Francisco area, retiring in 2 weeks, heading from Mexico. Good venture starting February or March. Graduated from McAllen High School long ago. Actually, I graduated from Meadowbrook High School, one of your rivals, back in the day. Now, Ramon says, I was a Mexican citizen until 1998 when I became a U.S. citizen. Now I'm just a Mexican national. Will a visit to San Francisco Embassy to see if I can get my Mexican citizenship. Actually, Ramon, that's a good question, and I've actually answered that question before. Here's the thing, Ramon, and actually there was at one time a law in Mexico that was if you gave up your citizenship not if you became a citizen somewhere else, you kind of gave up your Mexican citizenship. But later on, I think it was in 1997, Mexico said, once a Mexican, always a Mexican. So therefore, you're still considered not only a Mexican national, but Mexico does recognize dual citizenship. So you are a Mexican citizen. All you have to do is go to the San Francisco embassy. What you do is you make an appointment with the San Francisco embassy. And what you do is you basically present your proof of Mexican citizenship. If you have your old Mexican passport, if you have any of your documents of when you were a Mexican citizen, you can take them to the embassy with you. And basically, when you make the appointment, though, there's an appointment system. I think Mexitel, I don't know if San Francisco uses it, but when you make the appointment, there's different things. You want to make an appointment for citizen services, for citizen services for Mexican citizens, basically. You make that appointment and you go to the embassy, you go with proof, and they will issue you a new Mexican passport. And I don't believe they'll issue you an INE. You have to come here to Mexico to get your INE, but they will issue what's called a national identification card, which is kind of like an INE. The way it's been explained to me is you can't vote with it. You just have to go change it for an INE when you come here to Mexico. But not to worry, you can get your Mexican citizenship back at the San Francisco embassy. And the United States also does recognize Mexican dual citizenship. And that's one of the videos that I did do about the advantages or disadvantages of Mexican citizenship. The only disadvantage really of being a dual citizen is that if you require consulate help or U.S. embassy help, Mexico considers you Mexican first, and that's the way they do it. But other than that, you have full right to get your Mexican citizenship. When you became a U.S. citizen, you did not renounce your Mexican citizenship. So basically, now unless you've held a government job, you may have had to fill out a form renouncing your citizenship. But even then, even though you filled out that form, you're no longer with the government. You retired, and there's no requirement because I know in my profession, if I was a Mexican citizen, I would have had to renounce my Mexican citizenship for the sake of national security, because one of our agency's responsibility was national security. So I would have had to renounce it, but after I'm retired, there's no reason, because I don't hold a security clearance anymore, to not have it. So, and the government not going to take away my pension because if I become a citizen of another country, because I no longer work for the U.S. government. So that's the only case that you might renounce your citizenship, but you really only renounce it to the government agency. You don't lose it with the host country. And Wilfredo, best wishes from Arlington, Texas, moving to the best city in all of Mexico in the summer of 2023. Well, Wilfredo, let me just ask, which one is do you consider the best city in all of Mexico? Just curious. I'm actually in Monterrey right now. We're building a house in Monterrey. Hopefully I'll be doing a video. I'm originally moved to San Miguel de Allende, and right now we're kind of back and forth. So, but we plan to settle in Monterrey for family reasons and also for my medical reasons. So, but real curious, Wilfredo. I think you're going to say San Miguel de Allende, and I'll agree to you. I'll agree with you to a point. But my heart still belongs in Monterrey. But that has more to do with family. And I love San Miguel, by the way, or Querétaro. Querétaro's great. Actually, Gringos R Us made a great choice for their first city. And Ramon says, "Thanks. I've got all those documents." Then that's all you need, Ramon. You're good to go. Just make sure you make an appointment. The only thing to catch with the Mexican consulates is don't make an appointment for residency because a lot of times it's a different section within the consulate that handles that. So they have a section that's dedicated to services 2 Mexican citizens. And Wilfredo, Querétaro. Actually, that would be my third choice behind San Miguel de Allende. Now, Querétaro is a great city. It's growing, and it's an awesome place to live. It really is. You get the luxury of having a big city. They have Costco. They have Walmart. As a matter of fact, from San Miguel de Allende, if we wanted to go to Costco or Walmart or HEB, HEB's for those of you that are not from Texas, if you want to go to HEB, you have to go to Querétaro. And HEB is a grocery store that's very popular here in Texas. And here. And Ramon. Gringos Are Us. Just found you guys a couple of days ago and subscribed. Getting to kick out all your videos, especially the one on no-tell motels in Mexico. Actually, Gringos Are Us. They're a awesome YouTube channel. I met them when I first did my first attempt at a live stream. And it kind of blew up a little bit. Was on Facebook and kind of everywhere, and it didn't work out all that good. But they had a really great plan. And they did all the videos from the minute of making the decision to actually crossing the border and getting to Querétaro, and they're continuing. And I'm looking forward to looking at their adventures. And in Mexico, I think they're planning to also visit a couple of cities in Mexico or to decide where to live. And they're a great channel, and I always encourage them, and I actually helped them cross the border. I'm in one of their videos, as a matter of fact, or in a couple of their videos, helping them cross the border in McAllen. So I really wish them luck, and I really do suggest, and I'm glad you found them, Ramon, and I think they're a great resource. And they give that full experience of what it was to plan and everything. We're talking about they even go into selling the stuff out, all their stuff, packing up, everything, all the things that they had to do. They even created a spreadsheet that I believe that they share with their viewers. And Wilfredo, is Juriquilla 30 minutes from San Miguel de Allende? It's probably more like 40 minutes, 45 minutes. I actually live in San Miguel, and then I still have my house in San Miguel. And that house is on what we call it the Salida de Querétaro, which is the highway that goes to Querétaro from San Miguel de Allende. So from my house, and I'm on the outskirts of San Miguel, so I'm about 5 kilometers outside of San Miguel in a little community. And that highway to get into Querétaro is probably 30 minutes to get into the outskirts of Querétaro, but to get into to the mall, to the city market, to the HEB, to the Costco, it's about 40 minutes. So depending Juriquilla, that it's probably about 40 minutes. We have some friends that live close to there in that area, and we go visit them. So it usually takes, depending on traffic also, it takes between 30 to 40 minutes. If traffic's really bad, it may take an hour, but you're very close, Wilfredo. And Gringos Are Us say, yeah, but it was a lot of fun though, Ernie. Yeah, I imagine I dropped you off at one of those hotels. And and you know what? 30 cities. That's what they were. As a matter of fact, I didn't remember how many cities that they're going to live in while they go to Mexico. But this is what's really great about their channel. You're going to be able to see their experience in every different city. And that way it could help you make a choice on what you may want to do. So I really do suggest that you follow Gringos Are Us. So I'm going to give it a couple of, one more minute, because we're just going on the hour here, and see if any more questions. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up today. Thank you very much for joining my live stream. And I'm going to be doing this every month. I'm going to try to pick a topic like I picked the Dolar App. And if I don't pick a topic, we can just answer questions about Mexico. What I'll do is the new format's going to be, I'm going to go into the topic, pick a topic, and then we'll discuss the topic, and then we can go into everything else Mexico and questions that you may have. So look forward to seeing you guys in the future. Thank you for joining my live stream. I'm going to be doing this once a month, and we'll see you soon. I have one thing. Wise Al said, and this is about the Monoto motels. Gringos are us. I try to stay current because I have friends, relatives who want to obtain residency in the next. Oh, I'm sorry. That was because Gringos are us says that I'm always in the know. And actually, Wise Owl, I think they were telling thanks Wise Owl, because Wise Owl was telling a lot of things, but it wasn't about the Notel Motel. Sorry, but it's very interesting. And thank you very much. And Wise Owl always comes on. He always gives a lot of good information. Like I said, I'm not an expert. And I've learned a lot of things from some of these live streams. That's why I'm doing these live streams. And so I can learn along with you if there's something new. I always am I love to learn. So thank you very much. We'll see you soon. And don't forget to subscribe. And see you soon.